on record. I'm actually going to keep you off of mute. So if you want to, you can shout at me. If for any reason you think your space is really going to be loud, then you can pop yourself on mute. And if you have a question, then you can unmute yourself. So if that's safer for you, if you like that better, then feel free to do that. And let's get started. So come on down to your mat.
I haven't got a mat. Carpet.
Carpet will work, yeah. Cool. And what I might do just for the recording, okay, so I'm gonna pin my video so that the recording is me. But if you do have a question, because now you're all tiny squares, just shout at me and then I'll come and look at your tiny square. But feel free to ask me questions as we go. So we've kind of looked at Tadasana. So Tadasana is your mountain pose. This is the starting pose of the sun salutations. So some people do Tadasana with the big toes touching, okay? Some people, like myself, okay, thighs are a bit big, knees are a bit funny when I bring my legs in. I feel very kind of like duck-toed. So, you know, you can play around with how this feels with the toes in, and you can play around with how this feels at hip distance. Remember, if you haven't watched the videos from last week, hip distance, if you bring your hands together, let them rest around your pubic bone, roll them out where the pinky finger lands, that's your hips, okay? So another way to measure this, hands come down onto the floor, walk your feet into the insides of the outsides of those hands, and that's Tadasana. So in our feet, we have three arches, okay? We have the medial arch, which is the inside of the foot, the lateral arch, which is the outside of the foot, and a transverse arch, okay? This goes across the tops of the toes. Now, we want to be trying to kind of engage through all of those arches. And a really easy way to get this arch, the arches activated, and this whole like anterior activation, anterior is the front side of the body, lift your toes. Okay, so lift your toes, and you should, maybe, possibly, feel that the front of the shins lift, the knees lift, the quads lift, the pubic area might lift. See if you can draw the navel in, and this even gives us a diaphragmatic lift. So there's this real kind of upward activation. Now, Tadasana would be a bit weird if we were always standing like this. So now let the toes just gently fall, but see if you can keep that upward lift happening. Then draw the shoulders together and slide them down the back and just let the hands fall down by your sides. Now, some of you, like myself, might have kind of some bad posture techniques, locking out the knees, maybe sending the hips forwards, maybe rounding the back, okay? So we're trying to get all of that kind of massaged out. So navel draws in, slight lift of the front of the pubic bone, not so much that you're kind of standing like this, but if you are somebody who stands like this, okay, an anterior tilt of the pelvis, I call it like a duck bum. You just want to feel yourself lifting the front of the pubic bone until you feel like your hips are more square. Navel in, you're going to lift through your sternum, the middle of your breastbone, shoulders down, slight tuck of the chin, okay? So what happens often is people do this, okay? They send their chin forwards, and then you're creasing the back of your neck. So we want a straight spine, and if we crease the back of the neck, we lose this. So what you want to do is start to tuck the chin, and then you're lengthening out of the back of the head, almost like if somebody was grabbing my bun or my ponytail and pulling that up. Okay, so this is Tadasana. It is a really conscious pose. Often people just kind of come into it and they're hitching in the hips. Okay, I see it all the time when I'm teaching. So just kind of stay in this position for a moment and notice where you start to get lazy. Notice where you start to kind of boop, boop, okay? So just see if you can keep that activation happening. Good, and let's see if we can do 10 rounds of Ujjayi breath. So remember, Ujjayi breath is where we constrict the larynx. So breathing in, that sound, Darth Vader, like you're steaming up a pane of glass in front of you, but the mouth is closed, okay? So this is out of the nose. Feel free to close the eyes if you want. You can also visualize that there's a string or a thread coming out of the top of the head, and this is drawing you up. And at the same time, those feet are kind of pushing down into the mat. Just do 5 more breaths. I find that when I first started practicing Ujjayi breath, the exhale was easier to make the noise and the inhale felt quite harsh on my throat. So if you feel like, oh, I'm going to cough or it feels like sandpaper, just focus on the exhale making that noise. Good. So Tadasana, mountain pose, that is the starting position. From this position, we keep the bottom half of the body pretty much the exact same, but we're going to move into Urdhva Hastasana. So arms above the head, basically. Now, as we do this, so take your arms out to the side, palms face down, and then turn the palms to face up. So thumbs are going away from you. This is external rotation. Turn the palms to face down, maybe even behind you. This is internal rotation. In yoga, generally, we don't want to hang out in internal. We want to hang out in external, okay? Because we do too much of this in life. So we want to open up, sending the palms forwards. Good. From here, hands come above the head. So let me just tilt this so that you can see my hands. So depending on shoulder mobility, really, it might mean that your hands don't come together. So place the hands together. And if you kind of look like this, you feel like you've got no space in the neck, then take the hands slightly apart. Okay, so hands above the head, Hastasana. Hands can be together or apart. From here, I want you to really lift, okay? Shoulders coming up, hands coming up. Keep the feet really grounded and feel that stretch all the way along the side of the body, reaching high, 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 high. Ardha Hastasana, hands coming up. Nice, bring the hands down, Tadasana. Good, let's just do a couple of these. Inhale, hands together or apart. Exhale, turn the palms to face down and then send them forwards, Tadasana. Inhale, feel that stretch and only go as far as the shoulders want to let you. Exhale, back into Tadasana. Good, do 3 more. Again, if you want to use that Ujjayi breath. Okay, these are the really, really easy ones. Good. Nice. And I was having a chat at the beginning about this sort of stress and anxiety that people get about breathing with yoga. If you're like, oh, I just don't know when I'm meant to be breathing, forget about it and just breathe, okay? I don't care if that breathing isn't right at the start, just breathe. Okay, so coming back into Tadasana, we're now gonna look at forward fold. This is called Uttanasana. Don't worry about the Sanskrit, guys. I've been teaching for 5 years now and I still don't have all the Sanskrit, so don't worry about that. Forward fold is what we're going to work on. So our hinge point in this forward fold, we want to be our hips. Okay, so just send the butt behind you and feel the front of the hip hinge and then rise back up. So just do that a couple of times. Now, if you have very tight hamstrings, take a soft bend in the knee. Okay, you can still hinge from the hips with the knees bent. Okay, so just kind of feeling into this. Good. So hands on the hips. From here, I want you to fold halfway, maybe not even halfway. Good. Okay. So I'm not going to change anything. So stop looking at the screen because I know that this sometimes can really hurt the neck. So look straight down and then imagine that there's a magnet on the very top of the head and grow that magnet forwards. Send the tailbone backwards so that you're lengthening and maybe press the thighs in towards the hamstring. So pressing the thighs back. Good. Okay. Draw the navel in towards the belly button or the navel in towards the spine and then rise back up. Okay. Assess how that felt. Some of you, you're going to feel that in your lower back. Why do we feel this in the lower back? Because the core isn't working. So when we do our sun salutations, when we do our forward folds, when we do our lifts, we want the navel to be drawing in. Okay. It's not sucking. It's a slight draw in. So let your bellies go. Okay. Super soft. And then imagine I was just going to tickle your belly, okay? Imagine I was just going to go poke you in the belly. Just move the belly away, okay? So feel that activation. This is called in yoga Uddiyana Bandha, okay? It's our kind of core muscles. So just feel that slight engagement. That's what you want to be engaging. That's how you want to be working in that forward fold. So let's find Tadasana. Nice and engaged, stretch through the back of the neck. Inhale, hands come high. Doesn't matter if they touch. Now exhale, take the hands wide like a swan. Start to hinge in those hips. You can see my knees are bending. And just fold over those legs. Let the head hang. Good. And just check how this feels. Here, the belly's soft, okay? Here, we're nice and soft and nothing's engaged. Good. From here, we're going to come into halfway lift. So Ardha Uttanasana. Now, eventually, maybe we'll have the fingers on the mat, but what I want you to do today is press the palms of the hands into the fronts of the shins, push into the shins and come to a flat back. Legs might straighten a little bit. Again, what we don't want to be doing is creasing the back of the neck. So you can see where I am now. Now look down. Grow through the crown of the head and now start to activate that belly in, okay? And we're just going to do a couple of breaths here. So inhale where you are. Exhale, fold. Whew, knees bend. Inhale, press into the shins, push tailbone back, grow through crown of the head. Exhale, fold. Nice. Do a couple more. As you lengthen the spine, you're stretching the hamstrings. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Good. On this inhale, don't lift yet. Drive the heels down. You're going to start to draw the belly button in. You can see that I'm not straightening my legs. I'm going to start to lift my navels in. As I come to a safe position, then my hands come up and then all the way back down, finding Tadasana. Okay. Anybody feeling that at all in their lower back?
Little bit.
Little bit. Okay.
No.
Was that a yes or a no?
It was a yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So it's not uncommon. Okay. What I want you to, a couple of things. If it's not hurting, okay, discomfort is something that you're just going to have to get comfortable with. You're doing lots of stuff. Sorry. You're doing lots of stuff that you haven't, muscles you haven't used before. You just want to make sure that you are engaging and that when you're lifting, you're really driving the heels down. You're not locking out the knees because when we lock out our knees, when our belly's soft, the lower back is having to do the work. Where we want the legs to be firing, we want the belly to be engaging. As I'm lifting, my belly's drawing in, then I release. So let's do 3 rounds. I'll call out the breath and the movement. Try to look at me as little as possible, okay? It's going to be hard to do, but I want you to try to listen and just flow, okay? So find Tadasana. Nice and engaged. Lift the toes. Feel the whole front line of the body lift, then just press the toes down. Good. So Tadasana, we're going to lift. Inhale, hands come high. Now exhale, before you do anything, soft bend in the knees, draw the belly button in and swan dive those arms down. Draw the belly button in, fold over those thighs. Let the head drop. Take the hands onto the shins. Inhale, draw the belly button in, lengthen through the crown of the head, send the tailbone back. Exhale, fold again. Drive the heels down, draw the belly button in, sit the tailbone down, almost like you're trying to find a chair. Then rise up. Inhale all the way up to the top. And then exhale all the way back to Tadasana. Good. Let's do 3 more like that. Inhale, hands come high. Exhale, draw the belly in. Draw the belly in, folding down. Good. Hands on the shins. Inhale, lengthen the crown of the head forward, slight tuck of the chin. Exhale, release. Inhale, sit the butt, drive the heels, draw the belly button in, lifting, hands come high. Exhale, back into Tadasana. Good. Let's do 2 more. See if you cannot look at me at all. Inhale, hands come high. Exhale, draw the belly in, fold it down. Inhale, press into the shins, lengthen. Exhale, just let yourself go. Press into the heels, draw the belly button in, support that lower back as you lift. And then bring those hands back down, finding Tadasana. We're going to do 1 more, okay? Press through those heels, lift those hands, inhale. Exhale, start to fold, draw that belly in. Inhale, hands on the shins, flat back. Exhale, fold it again. And then inhale, draw that belly button in, lift, 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 all the way up, and hands come back to heart center. Good, just close the eyes and just tune into how that feels. So heart rate's probably up, okay? Any questions on that, guys? Or is it all pretty straightforward? And don't worry if it doesn't. Okay, cool. It's a movement that you'll get very comfortable with and familiar with as we go, okay? So the next pose that we're gonna look at, I just wanna make sure I've got everything. Okay, let's look at Warrior One. So I'm just gonna tilt this down so that you can definitely see my feet. So Warrior One is part of Sun B, okay? We're not actually gonna put these together yet. We're just gonna break the poses down. So come to stand at the top of your mat. Take your hands on your hips. And then what I want you to do is step back with your left foot. Doesn't have to be very long, okay? Just step back. If it's easier, step forwards with the right foot. Now, what I want you to make sure is that your right foot is facing forwards and that your left foot toes are at about 45 degrees. So they're not going all the way to the left corner. They're kind of going out about halfway. And then from here, if your feet are kind of like on a one track, I want you to step your left foot out slightly so that both of your hip bones can turn to face forwards. If the legs are directly behind each other, this feels a little bit tricky. And also, if your back knee, if that foot isn't turned, when we swivel the hips, it can be quite a torque on the kneecap, okay, in that knee joint. So just make sure that the knee isn't feeling anything here. Good, okay, so hands are on the hips. Both hip bones, take your hands onto your hip bones, are facing forwards. Nice. From here, you're just gonna start to bend in your front knee. Now, if I bend a lot in my front knee right now, can you see how my knee's overshooting my toes? Okay. In this situation, the pressure goes into my knee joint. And we don't want to do this in yoga. We don't want to overload the joints. We're trying to strengthen the muscles. So if when you bend in your knee right now, the knee overshoots the toes, you're going to walk that foot further forwards. Okay. Easy way to know this. You can't see your toes, your knee's overshooting your foot. Okay. So you ideally want the knee directly over the ankle or slightly behind. Okay. So you're going to start to feel this in the quads. Turn the hips back forwards. Now actively press through that back foot, and I want you to poke your left butt cheek, and I want you to squeeze it, okay? Nice and strong. And as you squeeze your left butt cheek, roll the thigh in, okay? So squeeze and roll, okay? Let it go. Squeeze and roll. Let it go. Squeeze and roll. Good. That activation, you want to keep pressing through the outside edge of the foot. We're not sickling into the inside of the ankle. Pressing into that foot. Good. Nice bend in that knee. Now, this might be a lot of work for you right now. So, if it is, just wiggle, move. From here, arms, okay? So hands can stay on the hips if you feel off balance. You can take the hands out to the side to start to challenge the balance. You can bring the hands up, hands apart. Or you can bring the hands up to touch. And if you really want to challenge yourself, you're going to look up to those hands. What we want to avoid is that left hip rolling back. Okay, so squeeze the butt, press into that back foot, nice and strong. Good, take a big inhale here. Exhale, see if you can bend a bit deeper in that front knee. Take a big inhale. Exhale. Good. You're going to bring the hands back onto the hips, and then you're going to step left foot forwards. Good. Shake out the legs, and we'll give it a go on the other side. So stepping back with the right foot this time, toes at a 45 degree. Okay. Then what we want to do is start to bend in that front knee, press into the outside edge of the back foot, poke your right butt cheek, and roll that hip in. And just get comfortable with this. So let the hip kind of roll out. Squeeze the butt, roll the thigh in. This is adduction. Adduction is when we bring the thighs together. So as you do this, squeeze both of those thighs to center. So you're squeezing these stabilizers in the pelvis, and you're compressing the pelvis to keep yourself stable. This is what you're going to be using a lot when it comes to a lot of our balancing poses. So you're squeezing everything towards center. See if you can draw the navel in slightly, again, as if I was just going to go tickle your belly. Whoop, just draw it slightly away from my fingers. Hands on the hips. Then from here, maybe the arms come out, maybe they go up in a V, maybe they come together. Whatever works for you. And we'll just take a couple of breaths here. Big inhale. Exhale, knees bent. Make sure that you're not super overshooting that front foot. It's really common for beginners to not step wide enough. Good. Bring the hands onto the hips. Step forwards with the right foot. And we're just going to do it again a little bit quicker. So left foot's going to step back 45 degrees. Bend in that front knee. Make sure you can see your toes. Pulling left hip in. Squeeze as if you've got this like magnet pulling the thighs towards each other. Navel slightly in. Hands, if they want, stay on the hips. Make sure that you're actively pressing through that back foot. If you can see my knees kind of collapsing here. So I want to actively press into my back foot. And then maybe my hands come up. Big inhale here. Exhale, sink a bit deeper. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Look at one thing. Can you step that foot forwards? We go straight to the other side. So stepping back with that right foot. Bend in the knee. And again, if the knee is overshooting, just walk the foot forwards. Wrap right thigh in. Squeeze that butt cheek. Press through that back foot. Your legs are going to get really strong. Navel drawing in, just that slight whoo, drawing in. And then arms up. Now with the arms up, those who are taking the arms up, pinky finger, you want to turn it in, and this is going to give you that external rotation. So thumb is going out to the side, pinky fingers coming in. Big inhale here. And exhale. Big inhale. And exhale, step that back foot forwards. Nice. Shake it out. Good. Make sense?
Is it easier to be on the right side than the left?
Did you say it's easier on the right side than the left?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have, so all of you are going to have a dominant side. So if you're right hand, do I have any lefties?
What, so. Handed or politically?
Dominant hand, not politics. We'll leave politics out for this 8-week course.
I've got my special t-shirts on.
Well, that's great. So if you are, let's say everybody's right-handed, you're going to have a stronger muscle development on that side, which means that perhaps, Rainey, did you mean the right foot back or forwards?
It's easier with the right foot back.
Yeah, and that's going to be because your butt cheek, your glutes stronger. So I find that the back leg is the strong leg. It's the leg that's torquing the hip. So your right glute max, which is the big butt cheek, and your thighs are going to be the powerhouse muscles here. Left leg, for most of us, is not our dominant, okay? So it's going to be weaker. And because we do the same poses on every side, we're aiming to equalize, to create balance between them, okay? You will notice that there will be a side that's tighter, and there's a side that's weaker, a side that's stronger, and a side that's more flexible. It's just the way it is.
I'm glad it's not just me.
No, it's definitely not. Okay, let's come down. TV going. Somebody has a TV or something. Just put yourself on mute. There we go. Fab. Okay, so we are going to look now at plank. I just want to make sure I've got everything. Plank and downward dog. Okay, and that's it for our poses tonight. So let's start with downward dog, and we'll look at plank last. So finding tabletop, and remember what I said last time is that if you have less tight shoulders, you might like your middle finger forwards. If your shoulders are a little bit more tight like myself, I like to have index finger forwards. And then from here, you're going to tuck your toes. And then you're just going to push your weight back, okay? Push so much that maybe the knees lift. And then really actively press those fingers down. Good. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to start to lift your knees. Look how deeply bent my knees are, okay? I am not straightening my knees right now. Now, let your head go. Not in shake your head. I want you to listen to me, not to look at me, okay? So everybody's necks are really soft. Press into the whole hand. And then I want you to take the part of the bicep that you can touch your ear on. So just touch your ear to the bicep and then roll that part of the bicep up and out. Okay, you're not going to have lots of movement here, but feel that. And you're going to feel your shoulder blades kind of suck onto the back body. And then just release, roll the bicep in. The shoulders are going to collapse towards the ears. Exhale, roll the shoulders out. In, out. Good. Come onto the knees. Give yourself a little break. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, because your hands aren't moving and because you're upside down, so your world goes upside down and everything gets really weird, take the hands above you. Okay, this is as if we're in downward dog. Okay, turn the thumbs in. This is internal rotation. Now turn the thumbs out, pinkies in, external rotation. Internal, external. Now, watch what is happening. You just watch your own body really. As you come into internal, so thumbs are coming in, feel how the shoulders kind of bunch around the neck. And then as you go into external, feel how the shoulder blades travel down the back. Okay, in yoga, remember what I said at the beginning, we don't want to be encouraging this kind of rounding. We want to be encouraging this opening. Okay, so now let's see if we can do that again upside down. So find tabletop first, actively pressing through those fingers, tuck the toes. Before we lift, can you find external rotation? So turn the biceps in and then turn them out. Okay, turn the biceps in, turn them out. Keep them turning out, then start to lift up into your downward dog. Again, knees bent. Good, so hopefully now you've got more space. You can maybe move the neck around nice and smoothly. So everybody look at their feet now. Come high on the balls of the feet, push your hands so that you're sending your belly towards your thighs. Booty is going high to the sky. Then just start to kiss the heels towards the floor. If you can see me, my knees are still bent. For the first probably 5 downward dogs that I take in a class, my knees are slightly bent. Eventually I can get the heels towards the mat, but I don't rush it. Good, come back onto the knees. Give the wrist a little break. So what I commonly see in beginners, they're too focused on straightening the legs. Probably every single one of you is going to have tight hamstrings, okay? It's super common. If people with tight hamstrings try to do a straight leg downward dog, so this is my downward dog. You can see how I'm in a triangle. My butt is coming nice and high. If I straighten my legs, I turn into this kind of weird tabletop plank thing, okay? This is not lengthening my spine. I want to be in this position. So I'm just going to do that a couple of times so that you can see how I'm not extending my spine. When I bend my knees and I push my weight back, I'm getting this lovely long line. When I straighten my legs and come forwards, I lose that lovely long line. So I want you to just come play around with lifting yourself into downward dog, pushing yourself forwards and back. Just have a little play with it.
I can't do it.
Is that Paul?
Yeah.
So what happens? Where is your little square? I'm just going to see if I can find you. Tell me what's happening in your body when you try to do it.
Nothing. I can't get my.
So you could come into tabletop.
No, hang on, I just did it.
I would like everybody to try to get rid of the word I can't. I know it's so basic and it's so teachery, but there will be so much that you can't do at the beginning that you can do later on. Okay, once you've done about 3 or 4 guys, take a pause. There is a lot of muscles being worked. There's a lot of flexibility being asked from you rather. Trust me, Paul, we'll get you in comfortable downward dogs.
It's fine. It's fine.
So, okay, we'll have a chat.
I think I know why.
Yeah? Are you sliding? Are you wearing socks?
No, I think it's because my knees were too close to my wrists.
Right, okay. So when you guys come into downward dog, always start in tabletop. And by tabletop, I mean knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders, okay? So let's come into tabletop because tabletop's the start of plank. Okay, this is going to be the end of our wrists tonight. If your wrists are absolutely killing you, Each week I have a wrist warm-up video. It's the same video. Do a lot of those, okay? You'll get stronger wrists. So tabletop is almost the exact activation that we need for plank. So you want your knees under your hips, your hands under your shoulders. External rotation of those biceps. Push into the mat, okay? You don't want to be collapsing. I don't know if you can see this happening in my shoulders, but this is serratus anterior, engaging and releasing. So you want to push into those hands. Then you want to imagine that your collarbones are coming away from each other, okay? So they're broadening. And then you're drawing that navel, that belly button in. Then from here, all I want you to do is drag one foot behind you, okay? And really actively press into the ball of the foot, press into the hands, and just see if you can suck your left knee off the mat, okay? See if you can hold it for 3, 2, 1. Drop the left knee, bring the right knee to meet it. Just sit back into a child's pose for a moment. And then bring yourself back into tabletop. You need to be actively pressing into those hands. We need to stabilize and protect the shoulders. So push into the hands, broaden across the collarbones, externally rotate the biceps. From here, let's tuck left toe behind us. Actively start to press into that back heel, push into the floor, and see if you can suction cup your right knee off the mat. Don't worry if it's not lifting. If it's just hovering or not even coming off the floor, that's okay. Stay for 3, 2, 1. Good. Bring the right knee back down. Bring the left knee back down. Little sit in child's pose if that works. Good. Okay. Bring yourself into tabletop. Look at me. Okay. So I'm going to find my plank and I'm just going to show you good plank and bad plank. Sometimes I call it drunk plank and sober plank. So sober plank, I am holding my body. I'm drawing my navel in. I'm squeezing an almond between my butt cheeks. I'm pushing into the mat. This is drunk plank. Drunk plank, my body's not doing anything. It's expecting that I'm going to be carried through everything. It's not nice, okay? I can't even hold it that long. Drunk plank is very common with beginners, okay? So put the wine down before you practice. We're not going to do drunk plank. How do we not do that? Well, we need to make sure that we're drawing the belly in and we need to make sure we're pushing into the floor. So let's see if we can do plank with both legs now. So finding tabletop, push into those hands. You really want to be filling this space between the shoulder blades. Draw the navel in. If you're not sure how to draw the navel in, think about your hip coming slightly towards your ribs. Then, doesn't matter which foot, slide one foot back, then the other. Okay, do not look at me. Look straight down, lengthen the crown of the head, kick into the heels, push into the hands, squeeze your butt. Okay, you've got a walnut between those butt cheeks. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Knees come down, sit into child's pose, take a little break. Woo!
Ouch.
Right. Plank, guys, you are not going to get it perfect in today's class. It is a lot of different muscle groups that you need to be firing at the same time. When you're a beginner, you've got one muscle group going and then others are going to forget to work. So it's training them all to switch on. Is anyone like flat out dead confused? Good. I'll take silence as a good sign. What I would say is if lifting both knees is just too much, you can come into a little half plank. So what I would suggest is lifting the knees, then dropping the knees. Now you can see that my knees are further behind my hips. And then you can work on this activation. Okay. So pushing into those hands, drawing the navel in, growing through the crown of the head. This is plank just as much as this is plank. Okay. Easiest option, tabletop activation, making sure you're pushing into those hands. Good. I'm going to do one more thing with you before I let you go and before I answer any questions. And to really make sure you understand this serratus muscle, remember, serratus is these fingers that wrap around the rib cage and they attach the scapula onto the back. Your scapula, your shoulder blade, is only attached onto the skeleton through the collarbones. Okay, otherwise it's just floating around and the muscles are keeping it connected. So come into tabletop and then I want you to just totally collapse. Find drunk tabletop. Okay. Now, without changing the bend of the arms are staying totally straight, push and feel the back lift. Okay, without bending the arms, let yourself collapse. then push, then collapse. These are serratus push-ups. I am not doing anything with my arm bones. I am engaging serratus anterior and I'm releasing. Now keep doing that and notice what happens automatically with the belly button. So come into drunk push-up, belly's totally soft and you're probably dipping in your lower back. If I'm not engaging serratus, this is my plank. I'm totally collapsed. Now push into those hands. What's happening with your belly? Your belly is automatically engaging, okay? If you want from this serratus push-up, then see if you can find your plank. And you should feel really, really strong. If you're not ready for that, drop the knees, keep pushing into the hands. Okay, you've got drunk version, strong version. Okay, that movement, that engagement of serratus and that release of serratus, if you can get that, you can get so much yoga. It's literally like the little bit of magic spice that so many people don't understand. So I've yammered on for ages. Does the serratus push-up make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good, good. So by the end of this week, you're all going to be professionals. You're all going to have amazing planks and a beautiful serratus push-up, yeah? I want you to remember that it takes time. I want you to remember that you're training these muscles and you're training your brain and you're building that proprioception. If you get, one of these poses comfortable by the end of this week, that's awesome. But hopefully it'll start making sense. So does anyone have any questions before we go?
Yeah, just one one thing, Megan. I have real problem sitting down like I used to be able to do when I was younger. It's like the top muscle above the knee is really tight.
Quad,
and I find,
hip flexor.
Down at the near the kneecap and underneath too. So I can't sort of sit on my backside down on the back of my heels like I used to be able to do. So
Yeah.
anything
Don't worry.
I can do to loosen that up?
Quad stretches. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be hip flexors, really. That's gonna be screaming at you. So we're gonna be doing lots of it.
Okay.
Don't worry. But
Fine.
I mean, anything where you're kind of doing this stuff, going in and out, developing that, the classic hold a wall, do this.
Sure.
That's a good one. And when you hold on to the foot, you want to lift the front of the pubic bone.
Yeah.
And that's going to deepen the stretch. It's a combination of tightness in the hip flexors, and then it's a combination of the joints and everything just aging and getting a bit stiff. So what we want to do, you want to imagine that your yoga practice is putting like WD-40 into the joints, into the muscles.
Good. Yeah.
But you want to listen. So knowing, okay, I can't sit on my heels. That feels awful. So I'm going to sit a different way. I go into movements sometimes without thinking because they're really easy for me.
Yeah.
But, if coming into can you do child's pose? Or is that really difficult as well? That's
What is that?
one.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's where the knees are wide and you sit back. So there's not.
No, I can go part the way back, but I want to be able to get right back like I used to be able to do.
Well, you're just going to have to practice. Do yoga.
Okay.
Do yoga.
Right,
You'll get
okay.
there.
You're very hard, but I accept what you say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of stuff that I can't do when I was younger, and some of it is accepting that when I was younger, I was far more flexible. But doing yoga is
Okay.
the best thing that you could do for your body, as long as it's
Okay,
mindful
lovely.
and it's listening.
30 years, Meeks.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be springing around. You guys are all doing beginners yoga. You'll be great. I hope I'm like everyone here. Any other questions?
Can I just ask about rotating biceps? You said that quite a lot, and I'm not sure if I'm doing it because.
Yeah. So take your hands out in front.
Is there any movement, or is it an entirely isometric thing?
It's isometric. So hands are down. Well done using those words. Good. So hands are down, and then you're rotating. So with the hands off the mat, external, palms face up, internal, pinkies, fingers down. Okay. External, thumb going out, internal, thumb coming in. On the floor, tabletop, it's isometric in that your hands aren't going to move, but you have from your elbow to your shoulder, there's a lot of movement in the humerus bone. Your forearm won't really move. So you can try this right now. Well, your forearm does actually move quite a bit, but the hands aren't going anywhere, but you should feel that. And all you need to know is that internal is going to bring the shoulders up to the ears, and you're not going to have space. You want to externally rotate, but hands are still.
You said there was quite a lot of movement in your forearms, and mine aren't going anywhere at all.
With your hands down? Well,
No,
I
mine
mean-
aren't either.
yours aren't either.
Really?
I mean, the most movement that you want, it doesn't really matter. The forearm isn't important, it's the bicep. So as long as you can see that the bicep is turning in and out. I mean, I've got tattoos, so I can see my bumblebee turning away from me and then my bumblebee rolling in. So if you have like a mark on your skin or something that you can look at, just know that external or internal, that goes away from you. External, it rolls in.
I might draw a bee on my arm next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody just go get tattoos on the inside of your biceps, and then we'll be able to see what's happening. That's why I've got them, actually. It's to help me.
You need an excuse for another one.
I know. I know.
So Megan, mine are not moving either. I'm really, once my hands are on the mat, my arms are almost inflexible. So what can I do to actually?
Just keep, some of it is going to be brain. Some of it is going to be that proprioception of kind of not really understanding what you're meant to be doing. So just work on this first. Hands not on the floor, just rolling in and out, in and out.
Okay.
If your hands can do this right now, they can do it on the floor. Okay. If I was saying externally rotate and you were like, I can't, my hands won't go further out, then I would say, okay, we need to figure something out. But if with the hands off the floor, you can do this with your hands, you can do it on the floor because you've got that rotation. You can see what my arms are doing. My hands are on the bed, so my hands aren't moving. It's this activation. When you're in downward dog, it's subtle. It's a very subtle movement. Right now, don't even worry about it when you're in downward dog. Worry more about sending the butt high and keeping that soft bend in the knees.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, guys. Have an awesome night. And if questions arise, like film yourself doing something, put it in the Facebook group. Say, Megan, is this right? Am I doing something wrong? I would love that. I would love you to film poses and send them to me because then I can critique them, not critique them, but sort of say, okay, I think this might be going on. So if you feel brave, do that.
I filmed my wrist exercises last night, but my boyfriend didn't realise that the microphone does actually pick up everything and did a running commentary the whole way through. So I couldn't send it to you.
Well, I would love to hear that.
You really wouldn't. I might be brave later and put it on.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was a really lovely class. Yeah, if you do have any questions while you're practicing, go do the posture tutorials, do the recorded video, and then on Thursday, we'll do a sun salutation flow.
Yay.
Megan, just a quick one. How will my Michael get on tomorrow morning on the one-to-one with you?
I'm going to send you a link either
Right.
in the morning or tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. I'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Night.